Well, thanks very much, everyone, and welcome to this in-person event. It's great to see people here, but also those that are joining us online for this Okanagan College Speaker Series event. My name is Dan Rogers. I'm the Executive Director for the Kelowna Chamber. I want to thank you all for joining us. We have an exciting program with our featured guest speaker, who will be more formally introduced a little bit later into our program. Before we do that, though, I do have a few housekeeping items to note. I do want to again acknowledge that we are gathered today on the unceded traditional territory of the Seal Okanagan people. We want to thank them for the rich history and culture. At this moment, I would like to introduce those that have gathered at our table of honor, including the chair of the board, the president of the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce, Jeffrey Robinson. We tried that? No, do you guys remember how we used to do this? Right, oh man, so good. So only because sometimes we have politicians, and if they don't get a thundering ovation when you ask it, they always get nervous. So many, well, many months ago, maybe even years, we said when I introduce, you do one clap, okay, for everyone. That way it's equal. Also joining us at the head table is the Associate Dean, Okanagan School of Business, Laura Turn here. Those are awesome. And representing as MP-elect from Central Okanagan, Similkameen Nicola, Dan Albus. Awesome, and our guest speaker more formally expanded on in the introduction a little bit later. A pleasure to have from Calgary, the president and CEO from the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, Tim McMillan. Awesome, you guys are great. All right, a few other housekeeping items. We are, as I noted, recording this via Zoom. It'll be posted on our YouTube channel shortly after this session. We also want to make note that we will be getting into Q&As. That won't be those that are joining us online, but restricted to those that are in the room. So if you have a question when we reach there, I will move around the room with the microphone when we get there at the end of our program, the presentation from Tim. I do want to acknowledge that we have a number of events coming up, that this gives us an opportunity to plug both for those that are gathered here, but those that are joining and watching online, including our Business Excellence Awards program. We are now taking nominations. They will close later this month, so time is running out to get the nominations in the 16 different categories. Particular some areas where they don't like to be recognized. We have agricultural excellence. So if you know someone in the agricultural business, we'd love to have them nominated. There are lots of different categories. Marketing campaign of the year. If you guys have, in your business have developed a good marketing campaign through the pandemic, would love to hear about it. Please show locals some love during Small Business Week and pay it forward by making a nomination in the 34th Annual Business Excellence Awards. We want to thank Ferris and Interior Savings as our title sponsors there. We also have our Business Smarts program. This is continuing online, available for the time being to both members and non-members at no cost. Murray Quibel of Prairies? No. Accurate. Yeah, why is it? I always got to stumble on it. Accurate. And actually, when you look at it, it actually makes sense. It's Accurate. So, Accurate Solutions, he's president CEO. They're proud members of the Kelowna Chamber. And Murray's going to talk about technology and how it can help small business. We're all facing labor challenges. One way is to think about technology, and he's going to show a number of case studies where he's helped small businesses look and develop better processes using technology and innovation. That is set for October 26th. It'll be our Business Smarts program. Also want to plug our quarterly membership meeting. We now have quarterly meetings with our members. This will be a virtual one. We go through the business. It's a chance for members to ask board members what activities they've been up to. We'll get reports from various committees. We're pleased to have Ingrid Jarrett, the President and CEO of Government Relations, that will providing a special guest speaking role. She is from the Okanagan, so we're looking forward to hearing from her at our quarterly meeting on October 28th. And as we keep busy, our next Okanagan College Speaker Series event will be in-person hybrid event, subject to change and any provincial health rules that may or may not occur. So we have multiple planning streams depending on what happens. Would love to have you all back. We're extremely excited to have the new leadership at both post-secondary institutions joining us, both from the Okanagan College and also from UBC Okanagan. So we're looking forward to that on November 9th. So it's only a few weeks. Go online to register. We will be back here for that in-person and hybrid event. I did want to look ahead to November's Business Smarts. Sherry Pash will be looking at LinkedIn and how this can help, this tool that's available at no charge for businesses to accelerate your connections, your networking, and ultimately drive sales and business development. So great. Sherry's out of Michigan. She's joining us. She's done some work with us in the past. We're looking forward to that. It's the Business Smarts. That will be a virtual event on November 16th. And plug the Okanagan, we got this coalition. So this is the coalition of chambers of commerce throughout the Okanagan Valley to give information to small businesses, to celebrate small business success during the pandemic. I'm really proud of the work that we've done with our colleagues in the Okanagan Valley. We've put this together without any government support or funding. We didn't need that. We knew we could act, and we did, to provide information to small businesses and our members right across the Okanagan, from Armstrong to Oliver. So it's great cooperation. It's okay. We've got this. Please take a look at that. At this stage, I want to turn things over to the chair of the board to provide official greetings, say a few words. Please welcome, give him a round of applause, more than one applaud, or clap, whatever it is, Mr. Jeffrey Robinson.
Thanks for that, Dan, and thank you all for being here. It's the first time out in at least 18 months, I think. The Coastal Gaslink is as good as ever, and I want to thank them for the food today. I'm really excited to have Tim here for our speaker today. Oil prices are on the rise. We hear about climate change in the news, and it's good to have someone who can take us behind the headlines into some substance today. So I'm really looking forward to what Tim's got for us. I want to acknowledge some fellow directors who are here today. We've got Pam Pearson, along with Max DeHart, our city appointee on our board. I also want to recognize our President's Circle members. These are the key sponsors that let the Chamber do what it does. So we've got Interior Savings, the University of British Columbia, MNP Accounting, Consulting and Tax, and finally Rogers for Business. I'll also acknowledge the growth and catalyst sponsors we have up on your screen here. Again, we can't be the voice of business without the funds to hire the people and the staff and to pay what it costs to get us in front of government to advocate for our businesses. And so these are the partners that help us do that. And we're so glad they're loyal to us, and so proud to have their support. And finally, I'll thank TD Benefits and the Chamber Group Insurance Plan. For those that don't know, the Chamber Group Insurance Plan provides a national risk pool for health and benefits for employees. Most of our members find it very cost effective compared to open market options. So I encourage you, if you have any questions about the benefits program, please talk to Shane or others in our office, and we'll fill you in. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. Where's Lyndon? Here. All right, so Lyndon, TD Benefits, you can talk about healthcare benefits. One small business, so I'm having a tough time retaining my employees. I said, you got to extend the healthcare program. No. I said, you know, that will be a tool for you to retain and build a better environment. So you can see Lyndon, he'd be more than pleased to talk about if you want to review your extended healthcare program. At this stage, it's an absolute thrill to have Laura Turner here join us. As the Associate Dean, back with the School of Business. She is no stranger to the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to just keep filling in as you make your way. Give her a big round of applause, where it's great to have her back.
Thank you, Dan. So I'm pleased to be here at the Coast after 18 months. It feels a bit familiar to be at a luncheon. So hopefully we're on the road to recovery and get to see each other. So I am the Associate Dean of the Okanagan School of Business. I have replaced Dr. Barry McGilvery, who is retired after a career with us of over 30 years. So September 30th, Barry is now officially done, and we expect we'll see him for coffee, but you won't see him up here representing us at Okanagan College. So we are very thrilled to be the sponsor of the luncheon series, and we have an opportunity just to tell you how things are going at the college. So I'll try to be brief. Things are going very well. So we invited our students back face-to-face this fall. We were a little nervous, and certainly our faculty was nervous, but it's all gone very well. Students are following protocol, and classes are continuing. It's midterm season, so of course they're a little bit stressed, but that's sort of the normal cycle. I would like to recognize it's Small Business Week. So if you know a small business, support them or thank them. And I know that I was just talking to the president of Omega, who's with us today, who says he's been in business for 30 years. And I think, thank you, 30 years is a long time to be in business in the Okanagan. And so recognize a small business, please. Also, I would like to do a call for projects. So for next term, for winter term, we have projects, we call them real life projects that students do for clients. So I have a marketing communications class, and I have a capstone directed studies class that Blair's teaching. Blair, do you want to give me a wave? So Blair is looking for projects, and we're looking for projects for other courses. So please connect with me if you have a project, and I'll connect you with the professors, and we'll find out if we can help you get some students to work for you. On your table today is a lovely little brochure about our trades program. We had invited our Dean of Trades, but he was tied up today, so he sends his good wishes, and of course that highlights some of our trades programs. And if I can connect you to the Dean of Trades or anyone in trades, I can do that, but I cannot speak too much about that programming. That's enough for me today, so I look forward to hearing Tim, and welcome back.
Well, thanks very much, Laura. We look forward to you coming back next month as we welcome Neil and Leslie. We're excited because it's the work that both institutions do in collaboration to build a strong future labor force, and a highly skilled and innovative labor force is absolutely critical to our future success. So we look forward to that and look forward to seeing you again. At this time, I would like to more formally introduce our guest speaker and then turn things over to Tim. I'll tell you a little bit. It's great to have Tim back. It's been almost 2 years. I looked at the calendar, so it's great to have you back. Tim is the president and CEO of the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers. He has an economics degree from the University of Victoria. He is a Saskatchewan native, so shout out to Saskatchewan. Laura, Lauren, you okay? Yeah, feel better now? He was elected Saskatchewan Party MLA in the riding of Lloydminster in 2007. From 2010 until his appointment as president of CAP in October of 2014, Tim held several strategic cabinet portfolios in the government of Saskatchewan, including Minister of Energy and Resources and Minister of Rural Health. He's been a frequent face at Chamber events nationally since joining CAP. It's an absolute pleasure to have him back with us here in Kelowna. Please give him a round of applause, Mr. Tim McMillan.
Thank you, Dan. And Laura, thank you for sponsoring it. You highlighted the placards. Maybe just before I start my comments, I thought it appropriate that you've got a couple of trades students here that very well might be working on a couple of the projects, the pipeline projects I plan to talk about here in a few minutes. I have a few things that I was hoping to walk through today. A bit of an update on oil and gas globally, British Columbia specifically, and to highlight a couple of the projects that are very important to our national and provincial economy. But before I do that, Dan had posed the question about has it snowed in Alberta yet? I can report no in Calgary, but in my farm in Saskatchewan, yes, we have had snow already. So I love British. I went to University of Victoria, and I know the British Columbians take great pleasure in living in God's country, while us plebeians in Saskatchewan are toiling away in 6 months of winter. And it is almost upon us out there. So as I get into today's discussion, the context is very different. One of the last engagements I had before COVID was speaking to your chamber, and it's been a great partnership. It's one of the most important communities in British Columbia that we look forward to engaging with. I feel honored to be the first lunch you've had in a year and a half. There's a lot of pressure on that. It's one of my first speeches in face-to-face in a year and a half. So I'd ask you please bear with me as well. I'm a little rusty. But the last year and a half has been incredible. That we have seen things happen on a public policy level that we would have never thought possible. We've seen deficits at the federal and provincial level that would have been unacceptable in any other circumstance. We've seen job losses. We've seen all sorts of disruptions in communities and in business. And hopefully, we are now getting back to events like this. We are looking to our economy to pull us out of the economic recession, to restart the jobs, to restart the funds that governments need to fund the social programs, which we all take so seriously and are so important to us. And that is one of the major roles that oil and gas has played historically in British Columbia and in Canada, and that we will be in the years ahead. And actually some great news on where things are at as far as the energy sector for Canada right now. So just a bit of a reflection. Oil and gas, it's Canada's largest export. It makes up about 10% of our stock exchange. For British Columbia, it makes up about 10% of the GDP in British Columbia. It was not British Columbia's largest export in 2020. Forest products were, forest prices went up very high, and natural gas prices were very low. Forestry is still doing great in British Columbia, but I can report that with natural gas prices at 550 a gigajoule, we very likely will be the largest export for British Columbia in 2021 and the foreseeable future. And that's even before LNG facilities get concluded. That's just with the status quo. Global demand, which I think is one of the biggest drivers. It is playing off against climate issues, and I want to address that as well, because in the next few weeks, the world will come together in Glasgow for a climate summit. But the big challenge of climate is demand. The link between energy and standard of living is almost one-to-one. It is direct. The future, as we look forward, we're going to see substantially more energy. And this graph is a little misleading because one is where are we in 2019, or some of the most recent data, and where are we going to be in 2040, according to the International Energy Agency. And this graph shows the change in distribution, and it starts to shift, but what it doesn't show is the change in volume. There's going to be about a 30% increase in energy demand, all types of energy, in the next 20 years. It is substantial. In that demand, as we grow out to 2040, we're going to see more wind, we're going to see more solar, we're going to see more biofuels, we're going to see all forms growing largely except coal. Coal, we expect and hope, starts to decline. Natural gas is going to grow. I might have this number off a bit, but I think it's about 36% growth between now and then, just volume to volume. And oil is going to grow at about 16% between now and then. In the proportionate pie, natural gas grows proportionally, oil shrinks proportionally. At the end of 2040, oil and gas alone will make up more than all other energy sources combined, which puts a large challenge for us. Coal will still make up almost 20% on top of that. So we have some big challenges. Climate is something that as a nation we've made commitments, as an industry we've made commitments. Our provinces are working on this challenge. It is one that will, I believe, we talked about it at lunch, is it going to be a challenge that is met by scarcity, changing our standard or lowering our standard of living substantially? I think that's unlikely. I think that the challenge is going to have to be met with technology, with innovation, with using the best form of energy at the right time for the right job, and finding ways to produce energy and use energy more efficiently, finding ways to capture carbon and limit other emissions. There is a lot of work going on in that regard, and I think there's a lot of folks that could engage with your chamber and talk specifically about some of those technologies. At the end of my comments, I'd be happy to answer any questions folks might have on things that you're seeing, but this is a big challenge and a great opportunity. I'm going to speak a little bit more on the one of the challenges we're seeing right now is scarcity. Really, for the first time in a few decades, are we seeing challenges of blackouts in Europe? The prices in the UK right now are astronomical. We see gas companies going bankrupt because the price of gas is so high. Storage is at historic lows. We're coming into winter. There's a few reasons for that. They've shut off a pile of nuclear. They've shut off a pile of coal, and that has left them for baseload with really just natural gas. And you have a couple cold seasons, your storage gets pulled down, and we're going into winter. The news coverage in the UK is stark right now. And if there is a cold winter, the effects could be dramatic. And I don't want to use hyperbole. When you have a blackout on the coldest night of winter, it's devastating. And I think no one should take for granted a stable energy system is paramount. And let's find a way to do it responsibly. China is another place. China today, they're in a bit of a geopolitical fight with Australia, their large coal supplier, and they've stopped taking coal supplies. They are buying liquefied natural gas at historically unheard of prices. They're having blackouts across China right now, and we're just coming into winter. This isn't at the tail end of winter when you've depleted everything. This is before the real big loads start. Canada has a huge opportunity to have greater ties to the Asian market and the European market. We've had some setbacks with some of our LNG facilities in Saguenay in Quebec, but great opportunity. And I hope that we have a very rational energy discussion in the years ahead, because the effects, if we don't, are on everyone. Getting to very specific for British Columbia, if we look, these two are proportional on the size of the energy that we produce and the size that we consume. So I'll start on the left, just for a little bit of background. Refined products, largely oil for jet fuel and for gasoline and those products here in British Columbia. About 44% of our consumption is crude oil and refined products. About 31% is natural gas, and that's power and a lot of home heating and different uses for the gas, and then 25% is electricity. I know British Columbia and Quebec also, are very proud of their hydroelectricity, and we should be, and British Columbia is going to grow that substantially. But it, on the role of consumption, it plays a crucial part. On the production side, we have a robust portfolio that we supply the world with responsibly produced electricity. We produce some of our own refined products, but we actually import more than we produce here in British Columbia. And we are a net exporter with huge potential to further export more out of British Columbia. When we look at how much we have, with the technology developments for natural gas in the last decade, we have gone from potential scarcity of natural gas to having several hundred years of supply under our feet with current technology. If technology did not advance an iota for the next 300 years at current supply levels, we have that much gas. Now, the rate of technology development is very, very quick in the natural gas field. So when we could be offsetting the new coal-fired power plants that are today being built in China and India with Canadian-produced natural gas, every gigawatt of electricity coming from gas has half the greenhouse gases of coal. And we did some quick math on the back of a napkin, but it holds together that if the coal-fired power plants that are currently under construction and development, like new ones coming on stream, were quit, and they replaced just those ones with natural gas, the savings to global emissions would be more than all of Canada's emissions combined. And you know, the magnitude of our gas resources to offset coal is substantial. It's probably the biggest opportunity we have for global emission reduction. But I don't say that. I think that we have even more opportunity with carbon capture, with methane capture, with the other technologies that we are pursuing today. A couple other things worth noting on here is that the squiggly gray line coming down is the amount of greenhouse gases for the production, that the intensity of greenhouse gases per gigajoule. So we're continuously improving how we produce natural gas. And the red bars going up is the supply that we continue to bring on. And as LNG gets finished, the first project, you know, the opportunities are substantial. And just in the bottom left corner, it's probably too small to see, but it's just acknowledging that natural gas royalties are expected to increase by 49.7% in 2021-22. That natural gas prices have gone from, you know, sub $1 for a lot of the year to $5 on, you know, I don't know my averages, but the magnitude, Henry Hub today is 550 a gigajoule. It's been up over 6 for the last, we hadn't seen gas get into those ranges for a decade. So we are at a time where it's not just scarcity in Europe and scarcity in China. We are seeing scarcity that is driving prices and is going to have economic effects on our citizens and our businesses here in British Columbia and in Canada. LNG is again one of the huge opportunities. We have one plant under construction, pipeline under construction. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Will create tens of thousands of jobs, $92 billion worth of revenue. This is a Conference Board of Canada study that just came out this year, that between 2020 and 2064, more than $92 billion in revenue. The vast majority of that will be benefit to nearly 78 billion going to British Columbia alone. And $2 billion in annual taxes and royalties are expected from the LNG opportunity that's coming at us. This is a piece of work that I want to give credit to British Columbia Business Council. Their economists are some of the best in BC, and I follow them closely. This is something that, as they were churning through some data at GDP per hour worked, how much contribution does each man or woman hour in a given field contribute to GDP? And the conventional oil and gas in British Columbia contributes, and I can't quite read the number, but it's $1,500 per hour worked to British Columbia's GDP. Compared to the entire business sector combined, it's $53 per hour of GDP per hour work. So it is a foundational engine that helps fuel British Columbia and the success that we continue to have. I did want to do a bit of an update on some of the major projects. I actually have the fortune of speaking in Abbotsford tomorrow, and I drove through the Lower Mainland a couple times this summer. My mother-in-law lives in Vancouver, so we're along that route, and just the act of construction. And I just really am excited to get an on-the-ground feel for what the business leaders and the community leaders are seeing and how the community is reacting to that act of construction. But that project is now 35% complete. It is engaging 13,000 people. I would expect a large portion of them have been trained here at Okanagan College. And, you know, just a bit of a kind of reading the public sentiment, the construction seems to go on. You know, there's obviously people that don't support that project or many different projects, but that they're able to express those concerns freely, and that the general support for it continues to carry the day. And I'm quite excited that it's expected to be concluded. I think the fourth quarter of next year is their public conclusion that they've currently stated. The other one is the Coastal Gaslink connecting the West Coast LNG facility. And it is 50% complete and employing 6,000 people. So these projects, they have been a challenge to get across the regulatory approvals. They ultimately they're under construction. They're major projects. Major projects are a lot of work, and that in and of itself is generally good for our economy. Last thing I want to touch on is a challenge that, I've talked about a lot of the opportunity, a lot of the benefit. I did want to put on everyone's radar that one of the biggest concerns of any industry is the rules of taxes and royalties. And a royalty review is something that we certainly want to be at the table and engaged in. British Columbia is currently reviewing their natural gas royalties. We are contributing where appropriate information so that they can do a good job of it. And they have publicly committed that they will conclude, I believe, that review this winter. I don't remember if it was before Christmas or just after. But that's something for the business community as a whole, I think, to be aware of, to make sure that we're getting the revenues to governments for the resources, because the people of British Columbia own almost the entirety of the resources in British Columbia. And the responsibility to ensure they get a fair return is with the government of British Columbia. And I think we would be putting forward that ensuring that we can continue to attract capital, that we can continue to produce and compete for that capital here in BC is the balance that we want to achieve. And really, I have no flags to raise other than to identify that that is a piece of work that we'll certainly be watching very closely. So I'm going to conclude my remarks there, but would be keen to answer any questions or take any comments that folks might have about our industry or where we're going. And I see one right there already. Is that already?
So Tim, you stay there. Certainly, Mike, we're not going to play Donahue. She goes, who's Donahue?
All is okay. I have one comment and one question.
Sure.
The comment I have is you used the statement that using natural gas to generate electricity reduces emissions by half. I would challenge you, but not the way you would expect.
Okay.
Natural gas does give you half the emissions per gigajoule of energy, but the coal plants are 30% efficient and the gas plants are 60%. So in actual fact, if you place a coal burning plant with a gas plant that's new, you reduce the emissions by 3/4, not half.
Okay. I've been underselling this. Okay.
The second comment I have is that it seems to me, like I'm actually in an energy related business, it seems to me that our federal government has got a strong focus on shutting the oil and gas industry down, which in my opinion does nothing but increases imports. And the numbers I have would indicate that we are basically energy pigs, and we need to take steps to reduce our own emissions dramatically. And when I see over 70% of new vehicles purchased are either SUVs or trucks, what can you do, and what can the industry do to encourage the government to look at the problem and encourage people to look in the mirror rather than blame industry?
I think you raise an incredibly good point. I think for a long time, we have tried to find easy solutions to complex problems. And if we can point to somebody else as the problem, that's pretty easy to do. We certainly, as an upstream producer that I represent, we have a role to find efficiencies, to drive technology, to invest in alternatives. But at the end of the day, your point is absolutely right. I think just before COVID, 2019, we sold the smallest number of sedans since the 1950s in Canada and in North America. And it's because people don't want to drive normal sized cars. They want to drive much bigger. I don't know many people that live in a smaller house today than the one they grew up in. I don't know many people whose refrigerator today is smaller than the one that they had a decade ago. And it is exactly what you raised, that if the scarcity that we're seeing in Europe this winter, I am very concerned is going to be harsh. And I think that we should we should use that as a catalyst to have the real discussion about energy and an energy system that works for us.
Just one comment on that.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to believe that the increase in solar and wind in Germany has displaced coal and nuclear. But I did a little digging last week and was surprised to find that not only is their domestic supply of gas gone down dramatically, but their consumption to generate electricity has gone up by more than 50% in the last 3 years. And that's one of the big reasons they're short. And it's going to get worse.
Yeah, they have put themselves behind an 8 ball with their closure of nuclear, a zero emitting energy source. They're closing. And
Well, I'm
then,
hoping their new government will reverse that.
yeah,
So, we have time for a few more questions. Travis?
Yeah, just two
And
questions.
if I could, if you could just repeat the question when you get back, just for my viewing audience.
I gotcha.
Oh, Dan's got it.
So one market question, one government question. So
Okay.
following Malcolm, not to be as intelligent as that. But the first question is, most of the oil and gas in Alberta, they all learned how to be profitable around 30 to 40 bucks a barrel. It's way above that right now. So where is that money going? Is it going into dividends to shareholders, or is it going into reinvestment? I just love an answer to see where. I know you can't give one conclusive answer, but just an idea. And the second question is, during the election, the federal government said that they would put a hard cap on emissions from Alberta. That seems to be contrary to what I know about the Constitution. Has the federal government indicated to your industry by what means they will be doing that? Because I'd just like to have an idea of whether or not they're even reaching out on these things.
So to the first question, I would say there's a range of costs, and there's some companies have the ability to bring on production at different prices, and some of it's at much higher levels and some at much lower. But you're absolutely right that where prices are today for natural gas and for oil, it has allowed companies to correct and fix their balance sheets. That 2020 was devastating. At times we were selling oil, we were paying people to take oil. The price had inverted, so it was actually negative, and it devastated balance sheets. So today we are seeing a repair of the balance sheet. We're seeing debt be paid down. And we are hearing from banks and investors through boards of directors that there's a common trend to do share buybacks and to do dividends. There is obviously some drilling and some investment going on, but I view this as a bit of a canary in the coal mine, that at this point in the cycle, the energy sector historically would be deploying more capital, more rigs, and responding to the shortage to bring prices back down, that the economics of supply and demand should work. Today, we are not seeing the response on the capital. And part of that is a regulatory burden that has built up over time, lack of market access, the difficulty of getting major projects approved. We don't see new major projects coming at us. I think Canada, incredible opportunity, but we have stubbed our own toe enough times that investors today are more than ever before saying, we've invested and we did it to get capital back. We want our capital back today more than they want to reinvest. And that's troubling, and I think should be a cautionary for Canadians. Your second question, we have not engaged in depth with the federal government since the election. The comments they made on the campaign trail are something that we most certainly will be engaging on, because it has a direct effect on our businesses.
So Tim, I love this subject. I love energy, so there's lots of opportunity for people to get involved. I'd love to get a sense. I spent 30 years in northern BC, and before leaving there, we thought biomass was going to replace everything. It was a bit of a hype.
Yeah.
That mix isn't there. I was just curious about that, but I can follow up online. The second one, if you could, China. And in the context of Canadian LNG replacing coal-fired and the potential for the benefit, are we late to the game here? You mentioned Australia coal, but Australia also has liquefied natural gas into China. We have a potential there, and does that influence how we manage, and I say how, because it's not me, it's this guy and these guys in Parliament going to manage the China relationship. But
Yeah. You know, it's China, it's India, it's 60% of global, this pie chart I said is going to grow by 30%. Like everything is going to grow except for hopefully coal. And India and China will make up 60% of global demand growth over the next 20 years. So those two countries, it's their populations eating better food for the first time, or heating their homes for the first time. At the levels of growth for natural gas, there is lots of opportunity for Canada. That being said, it takes a decade to build a major project, and the cost of production of British Columbia gas can compete with anyone in the world. The amount of resource, the hundreds of years of resource, you know, we have everything stacked up to be the supplier of choice for India, China, for any country. But we have put some burdens, build C-69, a tanker moratorium, some of the other regulatory pieces that seem counterproductive, even in achieving global emission reductions. If we can't make the argument to offset coal, I don't know what argument would position our natural gas. So yes, there's huge potential. I just think we have a lot of work to do to achieve it.
And wrapping up with a good comment, Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Week, what takeaways do we take to help support the industry? What will we do as an organization or business community supporting how important this industry is?
You know, I think the Chamber's voice is one of the strongest in Canada. It ranks from, you know, small business, big business. Every community is able to link together and coordinate. The energy policies that are going against our interests are being driven by a subset of folks with a very different worldview. Having the Chamber and other business stakeholders raising your hand and your voice to say, we need a rational energy policy in Canada would be extremely helpful. And you've done that consistently. I just want to say thank you for doing that, and please continue. Thank you.
McMillan, so Tim, I had a long, diatribe on how much I was going to thank you for the wonderful presentation. I'm just conscious of time. It's just great to see you in person, frankly. I do want to do, and I was amiss, Jack Middleton's also. Jack, wave your hand with the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, Citizen and Engagement. So if you have some additional questions about the subject matter, certainly Jack's available and Tim's available for a little bit. We're going to have you do a little bit of duty. We're going to do the door prize. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Tim, do you want to pull one out of there? Chelsea runs. I'm recording here. Chelsea, who are you with? Secure Right. Chelsea, it's a pleasure to have you here. Congratulations for joining us. And remember, in a few weeks from now, we'll have the new leads at Okanagan College and also the University of British Columbia, Okanagan. It's been an absolute thrill to see you all in person and those joining us online. Thanks very much for being here. We'll see you at our next event. Thank you very much.